Hello, everyone. It's me, Coleiosis, and hello, everyone. It's me, Coleiosis, and if you are watching this live show right now, let me be the first to say thank you. This is the first time I ever went live, and I think I would find this thing a whole lot better than using my photo booth app on my iMac. I mean, first of all, that thing takes up a lot more space. Like each video I record, whether it be like 10 minutes, it takes up 2 gigs of space on this computer. And whenever I try to export it to MP4, like I use an online video converter, it won't accept it because of how much space it's taking up. And besides, like if I try to upload it, live, sorry, wrong word. If I try to upload it as the way it is, as a .mov, that would just take like days on end. All right, I won't be doing that. All right, I'm going to be trying to do the live stream now. I still have yet to find out all these fancy buttons do. Okay, that's a share button. I still have yet to find out how things work, such as sharing my screen on here. In fact, I don't know if I actually can do that, but I'm here to talk about the future of miniature game consoles, and we've had a lot of those since the mid 2000s when Atari, they were the first ones to actually do it. All right, when they released their Atari Flashback, it was a miniaturized Atari 7800, and that was the only miniature console, even today, that plays Atari 7800 games. Their next model was the Atari Flashback 2, in which that one was modeled after the Atari 2600. Finally, you're going back to the original stuff. All right, you're going back to that wood grain design, and that was, mainly they went back to just emulating the 2600 games. And I don't know if Atari did it on purpose or not to get, inside the whole console, like removing the shell, you see the motherboard, and I don't know if they like put that in there on purpose or not, but the ability to hack it so that you can add your own little slots for SD cards, or even a oh, my brother's talking to me. Gee, how art thou today? Well, no, I'm going all right so far. I'm sorry if I'm going a little off topic right now, but it's going fine. Like today, I saw a new mini console being announced, and I'm going to get to that later. So, back to Atari, they have you can install your own SD card slot. You can install your own cartridge slots to play your own game cartridges. And, I at first wanted to get one because, collecting the actual cartridges would be for the sake of nostalgia. But then again, emulation is still going perfect these days, so I will need one. But when At Games took over making the Flashback series, their take on it was different. I mean, we all know At Games is a Chinese company, so of course there can be slip-ups. In fact, like I once visited a friend's house and played his Atari Flashback 6. Some games just didn't load. Some of them just didn't work. Some of them were homebrewed. Like, they were fan-made. Like, I mean, even Atari themselves allowed that to be put in their Flashback 2. Like, there were some great homebrewed games that I started to enjoy, such as Shield Shifter. In fact, I downloaded the ROM of that and played it on my emulator. I mean, it's fun. That and Asteroids Deluxe. I mean, that was never put to the 2600 at all, but see that in there. No, Atari might have thought, well, we made that game, so even if it's a fan-made version, let's put it in. All right. But going back to Act Games, their take on the series was different, and I mean, there were some areas in there that were fine. They added some unreleased games such as Frog Pond, not to be confused with Frogger. I mean, I love Frogger, but Frog Pond, just going back and forth, jumping and spitting out your tongue to get those flies and those fleas. I mean, that was fun. I enjoyed that, but their design is kind of like the 2600, except the controller ports are on the front this time, and only in the deluxe releases of certain models would it include those scrolling paddles, which they're mainly used for games like Breakout or Pong. That's I find that good enough to believe. But like, if you were to get the original release, it doesn't come with the paddles, but it comes with the games that they are meant for. Like, and you'd be like, wait a minute, how am I supposed to play Pong now? I don't even have a paddle. Do I still have to use the joystick? I mean, yeah, it worked for me some ways. Then at Games, before they started moving their products to America, At Games was still only releasing in China. They made their own version of the old Sega Genesis. They nicknamed it the Fire Core system. And I played earlier models of their Sega Genesis, which, unlike their Atari products, theirs included a cartridge slot. Now you can finally put in your Genesis or Mega Drive cartridges, which I find that is a nice feature. And yet on the box it says that it's only compatible with certain formats. And I'm thinking, okay, so not every Genesis cartridge is compatible with this. I don't think home brews are compatible with this, but let's just try this out. Like, at that same friend's house, I played his Act Games Genesis. It kind of sucked, and I'll tell you why. First off, the sound pitch was lower than it was supposed to be, so I couldn't enjoy the music of Sonic, nor could I enjoy the ring sound when you collect the ring. It was crude. It was just crude. Even the quality, the graphics quality, it did not look like the Genesis. It looked downgraded. Even when we put a cartridge in there, it was just more pixelated than usual. We got more people talking. It was more pixelated. It was horrible. Like, comparing that to when I used to have a copy of the original Sonic the Hedgehog on Genesis. I played that on my Retron 5, and it played just the way it should have been on a real Genesis. On Act Games, no. It was horrible. Like, I tried playing the original Mortal Kombat, okay? In fact, like, that's not my favorite version of MK. In fact, my favorite is the PC version, but like, I tried playing it, and it worked not as much as it was supposed to. Like, even when every time I performed a fatality, fair and square, it did not say fatality. In fact, it wouldn't even say the score. It would just say whatever character you're playing as, like Scorpion wins. That's it. And fair and square, I moved all the way to the stage where you're supposed to fight Goro. He doesn't appear. When you finish the final endurance match, the game resets. How can you do this to us, Act Games? I'm not going to consider them guilty right now. In fact, I think they fixed that in later models, especially the Sega Genesis Flashback. Just wanted to say hi to another buddy who came on here. So, like, moving on to Mortal Kombat 3, the gameplay was too fast. I don't know if it was the way it played or if that's how it really was for the Genesis release of MK3. In fact, like I played it on emulator on my iMac. It was different. In fact, some of the controls weren't even responding. No, I tried doing Sub-Zero's freeze move. It just wouldn't do it. And besides, like, I'm going to have to give At Games this warning. You cannot put Sonic and Knuckles on your console without putting Sonic 3 on there because they're part of the same saga. They're part of the same storyline, same game. They're just split into two different games. And besides, At Games make their own games and throw them in the Genesis, even though they're not. We wouldn't consider them classics. They would say 85 classic games on there. Some of them are your own. They're not by Sega or any other company. I mean, they still give respects to the original creators of Mortal Kombat, or for those who own them, who own the rights to them. Like on the side of the box, I see like Mortal Kombat is property of Warner Brothers, and I mean that's cool how you respect that, putting the Warner Brothers shield on there. And I'm like, okay, finally, the guys behind MK are getting credit. But why is the Genesis reproductions the only consoles that have Mortal Kombat on there? Like, I was disappointed when they didn't put MK on the Super Nintendo Classic Edition. In fact, Nintendo was the mastermind behind censoring the game when porting it to their console. Instead of there be blood split. How do I say it? Blood splatters. Instead, they changed the color palettes, so instead of blood, it's sweat, and also fatalities in there. But At Games improved on. If you didn't even touch your keyboard, that's pre-recorded. Oh, someone thought this is pre-recorded. This is not pre-recorded. Okay, I did touch my keyboard. It's just that I'm a super fast typer. All right, you can't even see where my fingers are. In fact, if I this is as low as my camera can get. So anyway, back to At Games. Finally they released something that is a lot more faithful to the original Genesis with the Sega Genesis Flashback. Finally putting the word flashback into their names. Again, I don't know how I can share my screen from here because I've already loaded up images of the consoles I'm talking about. So, of course, as you would expect, it's like a miniaturized version of the Genesis Model 1, except it doesn't have that volume control lever. It doesn't have the stereo jack in there. That's something Sega themselves did. But another thing people were disappointed of when taking a look at this thing, they saw it had the At Games logo on it, and I think that kind of ruins the originality of what the Genesis was supposed to be. Again, it plays cartridges, and only this time it plays in HD. And that's a big improvement. They've done a whole lot better. Would you be interested in playing the Atari 2600? Well, okay. It was released anyway. Look, I'll get back to those comments in just a second. Of course, I kept in the same games as before. In fact, even having all 3 Golden Axe games on there. Golden Axe 3 wasn't even released in America, and putting that in there, okay, that is sweet. That's a foreign game that no one in America was able to play. Now they can. In fact, they even put that in Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection, which I have for my PS3. Putting that in there, putting Sonic 3 in there, as well as Sonic and Knuckles. I'm like, finally, this is Sega's work. They're getting it right. All right, so that takes care of the At Games stuff I'm talking about. I don't know why my camera's slowing down right now. So let me take a break, and I'm gonna read these chat comments that I have right here from my brother. Would you be interested in playing the Atari 2600? What I like if it was released, if it was re-released anyway? Well, I mean, it would. I mean, I'm gonna have to say yes and no because number one, like if I got the original thing, it would be a pain to hook up. I mean, in fact, like my HD TV probably would not have the correct inputs or outputs that the Atari console would have because it involves those little jackhead screws that you would have to put into your VCR, or if you have an older boxed, box shaped TV, you'd have to screw that in there. And I mean, I think we still have plenty of VCRs. Like we still have our old DVD player in our garage, and even an old TV that my brother used to have when he was no longer when he wasn't living with us at first. In fact, it's happened again. But maybe if I got an Atari Flashback 2 and hooked it up to my HDTV, and might work because it uses AV. But in order to play like cartridges, I'd have to hack it. That's probably not going to be easy, okay? But as for like, if you were the creator of Oasis from Ready Player One, what old games would you set up at the end where the player would have to find the key, and how would they have found said key? Okay, I loved Ready Player One. Okay, that was a great movie. I loved pointing out, like, twice we had to rewind to the part where I point out Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat in the racetrack. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's him. They're putting Goro and having the alien pop out of his chest, the fatality. That was cool. Let me see GBA. So, like, maybe that what key I would want to put in there. That's a tough one because, like, I've known all the warp zones from the original Super Mario Brothers, shortcuts to World 8, and I practically memorized that by heart. So if let's see, actually, one thing that would come to mind. Now, this is hard. This is going to be a very tough challenge for all of you. The key I would put in would be in Twisted Metal Black for the PlayStation 2. Here's why. Because like I've seen someone on YouTube do it, and I've tried doing it myself, but it was very difficult. Like it was in a multiplayer only map, or it was in a sewers, and like you throw a gas can into one of the walls, and instead of setting the wall aflame, it clips right through it, and you see a fire coming out of there, and then you drive right through, and you turn and you see this giant picture of a baby. And reason why that's there is because one of the key developers had a baby during the time that this game was under construction, and they put that in there as like a little celebration. So I think that would be it. Like, go in there and you find a picture of like a pride that had happened during the time of this game's development, like a blessed moment, like something that you would brag about, something that you just feel really good about, like having your firstborn, like a feel-good moment. All right, let's see. Now that I've answered my brother's question, I'll turn to my pal Justin. My favorite Sega Genesis game is The Ooze. The Ooze. I've heard of it. I've never seen it. I mean, I hope I'm not being confused with Vector Man or Booger Man, a pick and flick adventure. But I'll have to take a look and see that. Like, some of my favorite Atari games were released on the Game Boy Advance, playing on my emulator. I do too, especially Atari Anniversary Advance. And playing Asteroids from there, like, it's nice how they bring back the original vector graphics type feel. But at the same time, the way they move, it's you see red and blue jagging out from there. It's like, are they trying to convert this into a 3D game? Because they didn't do very well. I mean, for the Atari collections by Williams Arcade, uh, no, they did better. They did a better job for when they released theirs on the PS1 and the Sega Saturn. They brought back the original feel. My favorite Atari games are Yar's Revenge, Pong, and Asteroids. All right, Pong, that's a good game. All right, going up and down. That's something that I can get used to only once in a while. Asteroids is my favorite out of the three that you listed. In fact, like, I can't stop playing it when I start up and I just keep blasting away. I just can't stop. The simplest version is for the Atari 2600, and I call that the easiest version because instead of the asteroids, drifting away, from the laws of gravity, instead of drifting away, they just go up and down, and you shoot them. It's so freaking easy. Like, I lasted a half hour playing that version. As for Yar's Revenge, I have played once in a great while, but it's just the way it's super fast paced. I die so easily. And then I played Yar's Return, which is a homebrew. Same thing happened there. All right. So now that the break's over, I can go back to talking about the minis. In fact, we've already gone through like 20 minutes into this video, 20 minutes into the stream, and I hope everyone's not bored right now. But like when they watch the final version in the end, they probably will. So now we turn our attention to the next company to make minis, which was Nintendo. And like, I don't remember when the NES Classic Edition was announced, but like when it was going great in 2017. Everyone had already bought the last of the stocks, and they would buy like 10 or 20 of them, and then on eBay they would turn them around and sell each one for over $100, at most 150, maybe 200. And I'm like, you guys are greedy. That's scalping. What makes me want to say you guys ought to be ashamed of yourselves. What makes me want to say that is because they also include pictures of their receipts. All right, and their receipt from Target, it would say that they only paid $69 on those things each. And I think, what the heck are you doing? That should be the amount of money we should pay for something as great as this. And I've never played one before, but from the looks of things, like I watched the unboxing and review video from Boogie2988, and he kept using the phrase like, "Shame on you, Nintendo, for making the cords so short." Like, I admit, like, if you were to sit at least 6 feet away from your HD TV and you would want to play the NES Classic Edition, you're out of luck because the cords are so short. I mean, of course, other third-party companies provide extension cables, but you can't even use your original NES controllers on there. That's something, Act Games has done before. You can use your original controllers. Nintendo, you can't. In fact, like, it has that same inputs that you would put into your Wii remote, like a Wii Classic controller or a nunchuck. But now I have to think. I thought of it for a while, and I think, okay, now I get it now. Okay, if people who lived in the '80s wanted to play their NES, what I would picture them, they most likely place their console right in front of their TV. right, or right in front of their cabinet. And what they would do is they would sit on the floor. They would cross their legs, or they would lie down on their stomach and look up at the TV and play it. That's the old school way of gaming. That was how it was back then with Atari. With I think it was with Sega as well. So that's probably what Nintendo wanted to do to people who lived back then and want to play those old stuff again. Because those old consoles, they tend to break, and as well as the cartridges, they're fragile. I mean, plastic casing, that's that doesn't last forever. So now that the NES Classic and its predecessor, they're back in stock on Amazon. You can buy them for their original retail price. Like, I've seen them at Target, I've seen them at Walmart, I've seen them at GameStop for their original price, and makes me think, screw the people on eBay. I mean, I don't do that to be mean. I'm just saying that this is something they shouldn't have done. All right, now for its predecessor, the Super Nintendo Classic Edition. Like, when I saw it launch, this one was different, all right? I've actually got to play one time. Like, my dad and I went to a Super Smash Brothers tournament, and on one of the TVs, there was a SNES Classic Edition. Like, it was tiny. In fact, it was, like, I think it was, like, smaller than I expected it to be. My dad and I played a little bit of Street Fighter 2 Turbo on there. I mean, that is a good choice of a game to put on that thing. Like, yeah, they have Mega Man, they have Street Fighter. Some games that Nintendo themselves did not make, those are by Capcom, but those are still some of the best-known games for those consoles. In fact, I bought Street Fighter 2 Turbo on my Wii for the Virtual Console. I mean, they had a lot of Street Fighter on the Wii Shop channel. And I think that is amazing. Maybe the Street Fighter games were so much better on Super Nintendo than any other console during its time. All right, that was great. As for the controllers, they felt different. They had a rougher texture to them. They had a different imprint on the back, but still, it just felt amazing to be holding one of those things. And like, when you turn the console off, you press the power button, because on consoles nowadays, you don't just press the power button to turn it off, because that would kind of wreck it. You'd have to do it manually in the menu. When you turn it off, it says shutting down. And I think looks like old school is meeting the modern times now. That's so much better. Now, I wouldn't say anything about the Famicom Minis, because, like, those are Japanese only. Those are different. So I would have no clue as to how they would work, except they would have the same games on there, just different names for translations. Now, before I move on, I want to give a big warning to those who want to get one of those things, but on eBay or Amazon, they would find lookalikes, but they're not the actual thing. Like, I can't tell you how many times Chinese companies have duplicated the NES Mini, but what they would have to do is, what they did was basically, change controller ports. They say 500 classic games in there, and people who are looking for the things like 500. Are you sure that's how many games were released for the NES total? And they look through the list. Some of them are ROM hacks, like Mario 14. Maybe it was Mario 14. It's just a ninja game, but you pasted Mario's head on it. This isn't even Nintendo, and it says copyrights 2014 Wario. I guess Mario's doppelganger made the game to make him look bad. Oh yeah, I'm gonna make Mario look stupid. Justin says bootlegs are boo. Yeah, you're telling me. I mean, I admit, I did get I did download a ROM for a bootlegged Famicom cartridge that has 115 games in there, and some, like, Galaxian. Yeah, they had Galaxian in there. Then they had another version of Galaxian. It was just a super fast version of Pac-Man. Other repeats in there. Like, what is Galaxian 7? It's basically the original Galaxian, but you're at stage 7. That's not original. Like, no, even when you take off the shell and you look inside, there's hardly anything in there. It's just a few chips here and there, and that's all you get. People can just take that junk out of there but keep the shell so they can put a Raspberry Pi in there. All right. They even did that to the Super Nintendo Classic. They call it the Super Mini SFC. So it's called the Super Mini Super Famicom Total. That is a whole that's strange. All right. Again, I'm going to take a break. We already gone through a half hour of this thing, and I got more comments saying, off topic, I'm waiting for the 3DS remake of Luigi's Mansion. It gets released October 12th. 3DS remake. I mean, they already have a title for 3DS called Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, and again, I haven't paid much attention to the Luigi stuff because, we don't have a GameCube anymore. We have a Wii, but our GameCube controllers are, man, we're going to have to wait to get a new one. And, we don't have any handheld game consoles as of now, but, if you've seen Nintendo's latest, it'll be like Luigi's Mansion that's portable. Okay, I can see where you're going with that. Let me think. Nintendo's latest videos have revealed a working title. I mean, I thought it was called Luigi's Mansion 3. Unless that's something else. Unless it's what he's talking about. I'm going to have to take a look-see again. Because, again, I don't pay attention to... I try not to pay attention to the stuff coming out for the newest consoles. I mean, mainly for Nintendo, because we don't have a Switch. I mean, the latest we have is a Wii. Sad, right? But it can still connect to the internet in some ways. But I've been watching Nintendo Direct's trailers for the new Smash Brothers. I saw Ridley is finally being a character. That was promised for the Wii U version, but was cut. And now we finally get it for the Switch. And people are still upset that Waluigi is still not a playable character. He's still an assist trophy. And I've always made an impression of Waluigi saying, "How come I don't get my own game?" Still an assist trophy. I like seeing Knuckles in there. I like seeing Bomberman. Finally, for the first time, they put in Bomberman. That was a good game. And they put in Simon from Castlevania. They put in Project M. Yeah, I played Project M, like only one version. And he's in there. He's a replacement of Pit. They put Simon in there. They put in Isabella, I think they call her, from Animal Crossing. And I'm starting to get a little pissed. Someone I don't know says hello. I might as well just say hello back. Dang it, I spelled it wrong. But King Kang Rool, yeah, I was surprised. My friend Forrest, not my brother Forrest, but no, you know him as Varia the Hunter. He, I showed him what's going on. He's like, he likes Donkey Kong. Okay, I show it to him, and I'm like, hey, Forrest, some of your favorite Donkey Kong characters are coming. You like Donkey Kong, you like Metroid, Ridley's in there. But if there's one character I love to see in the new Smash Brothers, it's Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. And here's why. Okay, here's why. Number one, Nintendo censored the original Mortal Kombat when porting it to the Super Nintendo. And to the Game Boy, too. Like, that's the worst port of the game ever, the Game Boy version. It's so slow. Okay, number two, I've already dreamed up a unique move set for him. Like, he'd be like Link, where like his grab move is pulling out his chain, you know. For Scorpion, his grab move would be pulling out his spear. He'd be saying, "Get over here!" You know, and his final smash would be like his fatality move, you know. Breathe out the fire. But, you know, I think he'd be a suiting replacement for Bayonetta. I hate Bayonetta. All right, in fact, that wasn't even originally Nintendo, but I mean, like yet again, PlayStation All Stars. They threw things in from BioShock and Dead Space. But for Bayonetta, like, let's say some parents are watching their kids play the new Smash Brothers. They see Bayonetta in there. They see her twerking. And they're like, who is she and where's she from? They look her up. And she's from a very sexually violent game, like very sexual. And they're like, they put that in a family-friendly game? Yeah, when it comes to M-rated games, I'm not looking for the sexual content. All right, that's no. Okay, I'm getting another comment from someone from Morocco. It says Nintendo must get Rare back. Rare? You mean Rareware? Like GoldenEye 007? I mean, okay, I know the other two titles were rated T. I mean, I remember playing the most T-rated games when I was like 7 years old, like Godzilla Save the Earth, or Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy, or the first two Star Wars Battlefront games. And I mean the classics, not the remakes by EA. You know, I mean, again, yes. Okay, it's Rare who created Donkey Kong Country. Oh, all right. So they're the developers, whereas Nintendo is the publishers. Nintendo of America. Okay, it's starting to make sense now. Okay, thank you. Sufyan. I don't know how to pronounce that, but pardon me if I don't. Okay, Banjo and Kazooie and Conquer were owned by Rare. I mean, yeah, they were in 64 classics. Then again, you know, you can digitally download those classics on your Xbox 360 and play them on there. In fact, I don't know what's causing Rare to sell N64 exclusives to Xbox. In fact, I'm not an Xbox player. Like, we still have the original Xbox from 2001 up in our room. In fact, yeah. I mean, now Rare is with Microsoft. Okay, that's starting to make more sense to me. They made them work just on the stupid Kinect. I'm not a Kinect user. Like, I'm gonna be like Boogie and say it's time to disconnect your Kinect. All right, they made a Kinect for the Xbox One. I bet it's gonna suck as much as it did on the 360. Playing Kinect Adventures, the Michael Jackson Experience, and Just Dance 2010. I don't remember which one I played. It's what introduced me to Grenade by Bruno Mars. Okay, so I think it's time I moved on to the minis. In fact, like, the stream is going so well. We're about 40 minutes in, but I'm still getting people talking on this chat right now. So let's move along. SNK, this year SNK, who are the masterminds behind The King of Fighters. I really like that series. I mean, I wish they would put less lewd content in there, but yet again, I only play as Mai Shiranui because it's her moveset that I understand the most, that I master the most at. It's so easy. All right, it's like Ryu from Street Fighter. You do this to throw a fan, do this to whatever. But this year they released the Neo Geo Mini, and when I first heard of it, I thought, okay, is it gonna be a miniature uh, MVS like the arcade machine, or is it gonna be a mini AES? In fact, the AES confuses me more, but I would say half and half. Okay, the first half that confuses me less is that you can play the original arcade stuff at home, and you use big joystick controllers. And the game cartridges, they play just like their arcade games. In fact, insert credits, you press the select button. It's that easy. What confuses me the most is, where do you get those cartridges? In fact, I am not seeing any that are being released in America. So I thought, okay, no, this must be a more simplified version of the AES. Wrong. It's the MVS. It's the miniature arcade cabinet. Sufyan is saying the mini arcade is a joke. Who has mini hands to play on that? I admit that little kids will be able to grip those things easier. In fact, like if I were to put one on my desk, how would I play it? In fact, like like you have much smaller arcade machines like Pac-Man or Galaga that you would most likely put on your office desk, and you'd have to use both your hands, only use your thumbs to play those things. And I'd say that bar top, like full scale bar top arcade machines would be better for your hands. But as for the Neo Geo Mini, I'm not entirely sure. In fact, I look at like I saw a picture of a few. I look at the top of the screen. What's on top of the screen is like showing what games are included in each release. I'm gonna go on a limb and guess that, or are they just scrolling whenever you turn it on? Because I see the front cover of Samurai Showdown, or Metal Slug, or the King of Fighters, or Fatal Fury. Real about Fatal Fury. The King of Fighters is the one I understand the most. In fact, I don't remember the last time I played King of Fighters 2012 on my iPhone. All right, so finally, after 40 minutes of waiting, it's time that we all brace what has been announced just recently. In fact, I think it was either today or yesterday. Oh gosh, what is this? Like, SNK is like a mini car. They give you a car 5 centimeters long, and they say to you, "Come on in." How can we get? I'm gonna have to hide that because, I want this channel to be family friendly. Sorry, Sufyan, but hopefully you understand. I understand that tiniess. In fact, I think I still got small hands. I mean, my dad's hands are huge. I don't think he'll be playing that anytime soon. But anyway, like what was announced recently was finally Sony is making a PlayStation Classic. Hallelujah! In fact, I always thought that might be a what if. What if they made a PS1 Classic? Then they would put PS1 favorites in there. Okay, the PS1, in my honest opinion, that's something I have a passion for the most. My favorite retro gaming console of all time is the PS1. Why is that? Well, Crash Bandicoot, of course. I mean, everyone loves Crash. Twisted Metal. Twisted Metal 2 is my favorite PS1 game of all time. And then there's Metal Gear Solid. I'm still trying to work my way through that. There aren't very many PS1 exclusives, except like Mortal Kombat Trilogy was great. Um, Medieval, yeah, that was okay. Driver, I still have yet to play that. I mean, is that any good? I might have to take a look see into it. Like, I'm starting to fall in love with car games. You know, basically just to explore the environment, explore those large maps, because like I drive all over the place. And I think, is it explosive? Is it destructible? Driver was the Grand Theft Auto of 1996. I mean, the first Grand Theft Auto had a different perspective when driving. I don't like the top-down bird's eye view because how you turn with controls is kind of confusing. Siphon Filter 1 and 2. So I've yet to try that as well. Like the green night vision constant. Like there is one series that I'm almost tempted to try out, and that's the Army Men 3D. Driver is on 3D and not like the first GTA and second. Okay, that satisfies me. That assures me that Driver might be a good game. And as for Army Men 3D, I looked at it. The landscapes were beautiful. And the sound, like you hear the howling wind on a railroad, and I think that's eerie. I like that. That is something. Sorry, I get that like that sometimes because I want to develop a game like that sometime. It's a fan-made Twisted Metal installment, but I'm going to be. Oh, Forrest, you're leaving so soon? All right. Yeah. Whew. I'll have to thank him for sticking around on this stream. It's been almost an hour. Man, I'm getting so good at this. I gotta do this more often, get more support, get more subscribers. Okay, so back to the PS1 Classic. They've already released 5 titles in there, one of them being like a launch title. I forgot what it was called. Some fish. But they got Ridge Racer Type 4, which I might try out sometime. They got Tekken 3, which I will admit, that is the best out of the first 3 that's in there. Everyone knows it's the best out of the trilogy on the PS1. Everyone knows it's the best, so obviously they put that in there. Then Final Fantasy VII. Of course! Of course, Final Fantasy VII. A game I've only played once in my whole life. That's everyone's favorite. Like practically every Final Fantasy game released for the PS1 they got the Greatest Hits award. So let's hope they don't put all that in there because that would take up too much space. But yeah, we'd love to see Crash in there. Maybe the first 3. I mean, I only have the first 2 physically, but yeah, the first 3. I'd like to see. What else would there be? Of course, Twisted Metal, and if they can, Twisted Metal 2, Crash Team Racing. I mean, yeah, that did get Greatest Hits and Collector's Edition, but then again, Sony has to pick the best of the best. In fact, the original Twisted Metal got Game of the Year, and that was, what inspired the best, what brought the best of Twisted Metal 2. And, sales came in rapidly, and, that is one hope I have. Resident Evil and Silent Hill? Well, maybe they can do that. Or maybe better than Resident Evil Director's Cut. Like, I don't know if, maybe the Director's Cut is better, like, story-wise or gameplay-wise, but I'm guessing that it will require the DualShock, and the controllers that will come with the PS1 Classic are not DualShock. In fact, they are the original gamepad. And so that's going to cause some difficulties. I know for a fact they will not put in Ape Escape, because that is DualShock required. So goodbye, Ape Escape. Sorry. Maybe Medieval. Maybe Spyro the Dragon. That will probably be a definite yes. And I'm running out. Is there anything else? Well, I guess that I'm all out of that. Whew, 50 minutes of talking about something everyone loves. Harry Potter and Toy Story. I don't think they'll put that in there. In fact, like Sorcerer's Stone was ported for other. In fact, that was also ported for Game Boy Color. I don't know if that'll work. Toy Story, that's up to Disney. All right, I don't know if Disney would allow them to do that. Spider-Man. Most Spider-Man games are PlayStation exclusives. I'll give you that. Like, you see the original Spider-Man in there, that got greatest hits, and then Spider-Man 2, Enter Electro. And now we have Insomniac Games as Spider-Man for the PS4, and that was something everyone rioted about because the graphics downgrade. In fact, my little brother asked me if he can get Spider-Man for my PS4, and I almost want to hold back because I'm like, wait a minute, if it's by Insomniac Games, I'm not gonna do it, because Ratchet and Clank is a joke, and I don't hate its story or its gameplay or anything else about it. It's just how mean the fans are, and that's all I rant about. So, there's not. I practically covered all the existing minis. It is revealed by Shigeru Miyamoto from Nintendo that there will be no GameCube Mini. All right, because they still make GameCube controllers for the Wii U and the Switch. The original GameCube controllers. They will work on your original GameCube, but they mainly make those for every Smash Brothers game they come out with. To get back that Melee feeling. Okay, I don't understand why Nintendo does not sue Sony for copyright and sue Sega too. Please clarify, Sufyan. Like, what are you getting at here? Like, what games or what software is it? Like, is it for certain ports of the games? Or, they're the first that made a mini console from the past. Well, actually, like I said in the beginning of the stream, Nintendo was not the first one to do that. It was actually Atari who did that with their original Atari Flashback. That was 2004. All right, the NES Classic didn't come out until 2016. Atari had that first concept. All right, do your research. Hopefully, you can understand it a lot more. Atari Mini was a scam. Like, it wasn't that good. Like, it wasn't perfect enough. I'm starting to lose my focus here. But other what ifs that I would like to see would be like an N64 Mini. Like John Rigged Gaming, I think that's what his channel is called. It was a scam. Like, you pay the console before the launch and wait the delivery, and the delivery never came up. Boy, that really happened. Like, I've seen the original thing in stores, like at a pawn shop. It's tiny, and I guess it was one of the few who maybe got at a store or Amazon or something. Maybe it was like mixed up in all that scam business. Whew. Man. So, like I said, John Rigged Gaming claims that there was a leaked list of the N64 Mini. Thing is, the N64 Mini is non-existent right now. I wish they would make one, but I don't entirely know if Nintendo would actually want to do that because No, they're still fresh on the Super Nintendo Classic, but for the N64 Classic, like I can make a whole list of games that I would want to be on there. Maybe Banjo and Kazooie. Maybe I don't know. I don't know if they would put in Conker's Bad Fur Day because even kids like to play mini Nintendo consoles. So maybe the problem is the controller. Okay, I may agree with you on that. That's like the biggest game controller. No, sorry. The Neo Geo AES is the biggest game controller I've ever seen. The N64 controller is the next biggest. All right, like 3 handles. The joystick is in the middle. Like I used to play GoldenEye 007 uh, or Super Mario 64 with that thing. It would hurt me. The freaking stick, yeah. Like they would loosen up. Dies after 1 year of use. Maybe Nintendo can create something more reliable, more durable. Like they might use the same technology as they would on the thumbstick of a Wii remote nunchuck or a Nintendo Switch Joy-Con. And they might put that into the controller. That might be a good improvement. Now that's what I'm hoping for. Like back to the game list, I'm hoping that they would put in Cruising USA. I mean, maybe, hopefully that's an exclusive. They would put in 1080 snowboarding, F-Zero GX. Maybe is that what it's called? Obviously, Super Mario 64, Dr. Mario 64. I hope so. Super Smash Brothers, the original. Except it wasn't as cool as the Smash games we have now, but still be awesome. Mario Kart 64, Mario Party 2, because everyone knows 2 is the best out of the first 3. In fact, you can only find Mario Party 2 on the Wii Shop channel to this day. They don't have all the other Mario Parties. I mean, it would be cool if they did have Mario Party 3. I mean, yeah, 2 is unique because, like, all the different party maps have different styles, like different themes, like pirates or space or, that's what makes it unique. And yeah, they do reuse all the mini games from Mario Party 1, but adding a few more. But I would want to have 3 in there because Waluigi! It's probably the only thing I want in there. Let's see, is that all? Like, maybe Yoshi's Island or Yoshi's Story? The original Paper Mario. Oh yeah, GoldenEye 007. Classic from Rareware. The music is just amazing. Perfect Dark. I haven't played that one. Yes, Majora's Mask. And yes, Ocarina of Time. That's my favorite Zelda game, even though I barely played it, but it's just beautiful. Yeah, Yoshi's Story, that's right. Pokemon Stadium. I was about to mention that. I don't know about Pokemon Stadium 2, though. Like, which one's better? Or maybe both. Let's see. Maybe Turok? But I'm running out of ideas here for maybe Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. Maybe Star Wars Dark Forces. I mean, that again is also for PS1. So maybe just Shadows of the Empire. All right. Pokemon Stadium 2 has 250 Pokemon. Pokemon Stadium 1 just has 120. That makes sense. Maybe if they want more Pokemon, then we'll give them more with Stadium 2. In fact, Sufian is now the only person who's chatting here, but I just want to thank her for staying around. Whew. Okay, maybe next time I learn to share my screen. Like now I have to click out of all these tabs. Sorry, my mouse is just the noisiest mouse in the world. It's a Chinese product, just like at games. In fact, their Genesis controllers are really squeaky. a bit sticky too. Now let's count to 10 because I'm about to say something within the next 5 seconds. So all of you better prepare yourselves by thinking your speech is interesting. There we go, 1 hour. I talked for 1 hour in front of a webcam on my first YouTube stream. Now Sophia's saying, why thank me? Your speech is interesting. Well, I mean, to be honest, I am not very good at speaking in public. Like, I have done that once in my youth group as like a mini sermon, but, you know, my first stream, yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't want to use photo booth because, you know, recording a video for at least 10 minutes, it takes up 2 gigs of space on my iMac, and I don't want that. In fact, it takes too long to upload to YouTube. I thought you was a regular YouTuber. Well, I mean, I am. I do not have 100 subscribers. I don't have 1,000. I don't have 1,000,000. But in fact, I should be posting videos more often. All right, maybe I could talk a lot about this a lot more. But in conclusion to all this, about what I've been talking about, you know, March of the Minis, do I want one of them? Yes and no. All right, here's why. Emulation has been improving over the years. It's been building up. In fact, on my iMac, I've been using a lot more emulation. It's been improving. Sega Saturn's coming in. It's getting much better. In fact, like on my iMac, this is the best I have for emulating 3DO, Sega Saturn, PSP, GameCube. You know, emulation is on point, that's for sure. But Emu Paradise and Love ROMs are down. Where to find your Mario Party 4? Okay, like there is another website where you can still find ROMs. All right, unless they are ESA protected ROMs. Like I went to for GameCube ROMs, I used to go to Emu Paradise, but because that's down, I went to romhustler.net. But you're gonna need to turn on ad block. I mean, I always turn on ad block because the ads they have there are just they're obscure. They're inappropriate. So always turn them off before you go on there because you know the service is great. All right, unless you try to get a ROM for a Nintendo game such as yeah, Nintendo can get ROM hustler too. I agree. Like I tried getting the original Super Mario Brothers. It will say this is an ESA protected ROM. Download is unavailable. You're gonna have to like continue searching, man. Like they put a stop to Cool ROM as well. All right. Let's see. Like I can search up where else to find them. Like there are other places such as Portal.